Ramsgate in the district of Thanet in East Kent. Thanet has the highest rates of child poverty in the whole of the county, with almost a quarter of children here living below the breadline. And with households locked down for months, big issues like drink and drugs, finances, relationships festered behind closed doors.
Poverty was a big driver of some of the issues around lockdown. We have a child population of around 350,000. We have around 10,000 children with a social worker. So this year we might get as many as 50,000 contacts and referrals at our front door.
I was really worried when lockdown started, knowing that Mum was pregnant, and we have provided a lot of support.
This is the Children's Services Department of Kent County Council. It's the biggest child protection department in the country.
At the moment we are operating on skeleton staff, with the majority of staff working virtually and at home.
He hasn't made any clear academic progress or attainment.
Behind every phone conversation is potentially a child at risk.
She does have Instagram and she follows her mum, but she gets quite upset with some of the things Mum's posting. So she's posting nights out, spending money on alcohol.
And during the pandemic, it's become worryingly quiet.
We have seen a drop in the referrals coming through our front door, which makes us concerned because there are quite a few vulnerable children now who have no professionals involved with their lives, and we can't see what their lived experiences is day to day.
And there's a stark warning about how busy things could be about to get.
The worst case scenario is it could be as much as 250% increase on what we would normally see in September. So I'm very worried about that. I'm very worried about our resources being stretched to breaking point in September if we're not careful.
And that's a concern when the safety of children is at stake. In the early hours of the 5th of April, at the height of the lockdown, 11-month-old Casey Lou Kennedy was found dead at her home in Ramsgate.
There was noted bruising to both sides of her forehead. This obviously just needed to be explored. There was no previous history to raise concern for the baby.
Because of lockdown, it took 6 weeks to establish the full facts around how Casey died.
This is where the impact of COVID has really hit us hard, actually, because I think the most important thing is getting in alongside families, experiencing what it's like, you know, in their homes.
After investigating, social services concluded that there was nothing suspicious about the baby's death. The bruising was due to a common bump to the head, and baby Casey had died in her sleep after moving into a position where she couldn't breathe.
You're accepting of support for you and your children. You're able to recognise the impact on the children and take steps.
Weeks of delays has taken its toll on the family.
And I just feel like I'm being blamed as I'm a single mum of 5 in a housing association house in a time when actually I need support, not being judged. And she kept me alive, insane.
Got a lot of respect for the family, just to go through this in such dire situations. A bereavement in the family tied in with the COVID crisis is just so unexpected. It's a minefield really to get through, to get the right support, to explore the emotions, and it's had such a knock-on impact for the family. I think we have to desensitise just to get through the day, but taking a moment to stop and think about it, it can be overwhelming. You just want to do the right thing.
Some cases last just a few weeks, others span many years. Heinrich Schnettler is only a year out of training, but has already dealt with a very complex case during lockdown, the removal of a child from its parent. Heinrich's meeting 31-year-old mum Gemma. She's had 5 children, and each one has been taken off her. The latest, a baby boy, put up for adoption just 2 weeks ago.
When Gemma invited individuals in her property There were drugs and alcohol abuse, and some that did pose risks to children.
Sometimes the men in Gemma's life sexually abused her and her children.
Losing my children, it had finally made me realise that it is time to change, and I should have changed years ago before all this happened.
But there's been a development since Heinrich last saw Gemma. She has a new partner, and she's pregnant.
I want the baby to come home. I find it hard to trust anyone, let alone social workers, and it scares me every day that I'm going to go through all this change that I'm trying to prove that I've done, and go through the whole pregnancy just to have it snatched away from me again.
Can you describe to me what it's like to have child after child taken off you?
Having a child removed from your care, it's basically like your heart being ripped out and stamped on repeatedly. And to have it keep happening, it makes me feel less of a person. And it makes me feel like I'm not a mum and that I've just failed them children, and it makes me feel like I've basically given birth to them and just